Good morning.
Good morning, Honorable Justices. How are you? My name is Julia Heath, and I'm here because of injustices I feel that were done to me through the Board of Bar Overseers regarding 5 attorneys from the Western Mass section of Massachusetts, specifically Greenfield, Springfield, Amherst, Northampton. They practice law and have, do court stuff there, and as well as Judge Miranda, who was also a part of it. But when I sent in, the reason why I'm here for the Board of Bar Overseers, I sent in 5 names: Scott Chapman, Patricia Crockett, Margaret Geary, Wendy Harris, and Ellen Kane. I sent them in, when my case started in the county of Greenfield, where Judge Miranda was the judge. She was also demoted like a year or 2 afterwards and sent to the Springfield court to be supervised by another judge. But in any event, all of these attorneys, including the ones who represented me, who were public defenders, they were all, following judgment. They were putting together documents to give to me to keep my daughter away from my daughter away from me. But Judge Miranda was signing off on these petitions presented by these attorneys to keep my daughter away from me. So that's why I initially started filing petitions with the Board of Bar Overseers starting in 2005. Now, I'm trying to explain to you from how I got here today with the Board of Bar Overseers, but I can also explain the case that happened that brought me here to even be involved with these attorneys. But I first want to explain why I'm, filing against the Board of Bar Overseers. Sarah Chambers, who was in charge of the case, she did not include all of the names, and the 2 names that she did not include were Ellen Kane and Wendy Harris. When she sent me this petition, this letter of denial of reopening the case from April 2006, it's dated December 9th, and she states that she only states those 3 attorneys when there was also Ellen Kane and Wendy Harris, who were the ones who brought this thing to a head in the early days of my so-called child protection case. There was, as far as I was concerned, there was no child protection case, but it was being perpetuated to separate my daughter and I, to make me look like a bad guy, and also because they didn't really care about my daughter and myself because, oh, they're just poor, oh, she adopted that HIV positive child. Nobody cares. It was that kind of situation because of the other people who had been involved in my life and under totally different circumstances, some social, some professional, some, intimate relationships that people had actually, stolen intellectual property from me, people who I was affiliated with internationally that actually were just like really close friends of mine I loved like sisters, but really didn't get involved with because I felt like they were living their lives and I wanted them to do what they wanted to do. And we were together when we could be, and that's how life is sometimes. But I felt like when I sent my daughter to that boarding school, who George Bush attended, and at some point, I guess back in the 60s or 70s, and Laura Bush had been the dean of students at my college, and clearly Sage College was a very racist place, and so I didn't really even realize that Laura Bush had been the dean of students, but they kept on like this thing like this. It was just all this negativity coming towards me, and I had really not experienced that on any level in my life. And I was like, why? So I kept, asking myself the question, and I kept looking at news and different things, and I was like, oh, she was dean of students at Sage College, and she was a racist, and that was all. That was before all of this happened. And so they took the opportunity at, I felt, Northfield Mount Hermon, which people, when I was in Greenfield, some people had to walk away, judges, attorneys, because they had been affiliated with Sage Colleges. They had been affiliated with Northfield Mount Hermon. They had been affiliated.
Ms. Heath, let me interrupt you. I want to help you.
please.
You have 5 minutes left. Now, you can use those 5 minutes any way you want to, but your case today is Heath versus Board of Bar Overseers.
Right.
And you've been talking a lot about, I guess, the backstory, but you got to get to.
Well, what I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to, I mean, I'm not trying to leave anything out, and I think you've read my briefs, I've read them too. So the thing is that this is what happened. Sarah Chambers did not file all the names in the final decision to me about how she was not going to go further. She was not going to reopen the case. She only included 3 of the names, and the other 2 names were very essential because those 2 attorneys, Wendy Harris told me that Ellen Kane was gay and that her former partner had left them and taken their child away, and that's why she was so overzealous in my case. Well, first of all, I didn't know how she knew anything about my personal life. But at that point, I didn't care who was doing, what anybody was doing. If, I'm gay, but that was not why I was there. I was there to reunite with my daughter, who should have never been taken away, who was HIV positive, that I adopted in 1992. I was there to just clear up this matter. And this thing lasted from 2005 to 2007. I never got parental rights. None of these attorneys, including Judge Miranda, allowed me to have visitation with my daughter or any of that. And from the very beginning and the inception of this case, I was filed. It wasn't like all of a sudden, I'm sending the Board of Bar Overseers or the Judicial Conduct Board complaints against these attorneys like at the 11th hour in 2006. I had been sending complaints about them from 2005 through 2007. And probably the last one was in April because I kept sending them just because they were doing all this stuff that was wrong. Like they never allowed me to visit with my daughter. They never allowed me to do anything. So I was sending these petitions all along to the Board of Bar Overseers to let them know, okay, there's something going on here. And I also sent them to the Judicial Conduct Board. And I let these attorneys know that I am filing petitions about your conduct in this courtroom. And I told Judge Miranda, and then, it was sort of like smirk, like, oh, she really thinks she can do this to us and it's okay? And I'm looking at them like, do you think what you're doing to me is okay? Being provocative, putting me in a position to have to make threats against you because I want to see my daughter. You throw me in jail for 60 days and then again for 90 days for no reason. For no reason. If I had been wealthy.
Could I ask a question about your, so the letter on December 9th that you received says from Ms. Chambers, says that the reason they didn't open the investigation into the 2 named attorneys was because you didn't submit information supporting their claims?
The next page is, now you can believe me or not, but I'm telling you the truth. On July 19th, 2010, before she reached this decision, I sent this to the attention of Sarah Chambers. Every person who I wanted included Wendy Harris, Ellen Kane, Margaret Geary, Scott Chapman, and Patricia Crockett. And after which, I wrote this Department of Social Services, Franklin County judge, and she told me to submit something about what I thought happened in that court. And I sent a 4-page thing. It's handwritten and it's I'm left-handed, so I kind of write to the side, so I wrote it the best way I can. It's pretty neat if, she took the time to read it about all of this, all the implications against these 5 attorneys. And she did receive all of them in this fax. This is the confirmation and also the number of pages that were sent to her on that date. And that's the only proof that I have because I faxed it. I did fax it to her. That's the only proof I have. That I did include all of these people, and I named names, and in the statements that I made to her, all of the attorneys that I wanted involved are included. Their names are in this. So Scott Chapman, Ellen Kane, Wendy Harris, they're all there. They're all there. So I don't have any reason to lie about it. I mean, my daughter and I have been separated since 2005. Because of this silly thing that happened at a doctor's office, and they decided to take that as that was going to be their jumping point for Laura Bush to whatever, and George Bush to whatever, and people to hide things about, things that happened at Sage Colleges. As I was saying before, people have had to walk out of courtrooms lawyers and judges because their affiliations with the Sages, their affiliations with Northfield Mount Hermon, their affiliations with the Bushes or the Kennedys, whoever have been bearing down on my life to hurt my daughter, to hurt my family, because you think that because I don't have a lot of money and because I'm like, well, I'd hate to use this, but 99%. But I don't consider myself that because I'm like, in terms of my spirit and the things that are important to me, wealth is not determined to me by the amount of money that you have. But I also want damages because there has been things that have been done systematically to my family.
Now, Ms. Heath, your time is up. Now, we do have your materials here.
Yeah.
We will read them and give them all due consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.